The paperwork claimed the truck was hauling basic cleaning supplies, harmless stuff. Nobody questioned it when the rig flipped and dumped hundreds of blue buckets across the highway. Cleanup crews got to work quickly, scooping them up without a second thought. But then someone caught a whiff of something strange. One of the workers popped a lid open, and everything changed. The driver's face went blank the moment he saw what they'd discovered. But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. When I pulled up at the crash site, it was a mess of metal, rubber, and those mysterious blue buckets scattered everywhere. It looked like someone had whipped the truck into a frenzied dance that ended badly. As the cleanup crew hustled around, scooping up the buckets, I couldn't shake off that something was off. My stomach had a knot that wasn't typical for a crash cleanup. Sam, one of the guys on the cleanup crew, wrinkled his nose and lifted a blue bucket close to his face. "Jake, come here," he called, waving me over. I jogged to his side as he tilted the bucket toward me. A weird smell hit my nose, a mix of something chemical and unpleasant. "Doesn't smell like any cleaning supplies I've used," Sam mumbled. "Doesn't smell like cleaning supplies?" Sam muttered as he squinted at the label on the bucket. That single sentence stirred up a storm of questions in my head. I knew I had to open a bucket myself. The scent was strange, but the urge for answers was stronger. Popping the lid off the bucket didn't give any answers. Inside was just a pile of rags, looking as innocent as they come. "Well, this one's nothing," I said, scratching my head. But the feeling of being watched made me glance over my shoulder. The driver sitting by the roadside wore an odd expression, like he'd seen a ghost. I bent back to my work, but questions still buzzed around my mind like bees. Lisa, who was sorting through collected buckets nearby, voiced what we were all thinking. "This whole cleanup feels odd," she said, her hands hesitating as she reached for another. Her words vibrated through the air, snapping us to reality. Kevin, another worker who'd been listening in, ambled over, shaking his head at the entire scene laid before us. "Something's definitely shady about this truckload," he pointed out, his voice low enough to keep the driver from overhearing. We exchanged glances, eyes darting to the driver. As we worked around the site, I noticed Rick, the driver, couldn't sit still. His eyes darted from the buckets to us and back again. Why was he so tense about cleaning supplies? Lisa sidled up to me, her voice low. "Hey, Jake, ever hear the rumors?" she asked, looking around to make sure no one overheard. "What rumors?" I replied, my curiosity piqued. "About illegal shipments happening right under our noses," Lisa whispered. My mind raced. Could this be something more than just spilled cleaning agents? "Let's call it in, Jake. Better safe than sorry, right?" he urged, his voice firm. I hesitated, though. Without solid evidence, it could all blow back on us. I needed more than just intuition. "We gotta be careful, Sam," I replied. Reporting a hunch wasn't enough. We needed something concrete to bring forward. Kind of a clickbait thumbnail. There are no Papua New Guinea natives in Panama, Central America, where this horrific drama took place. Rick seemed to notice our hushed conversation. His hands were fidgety, almost twitchy, and he kept stealing glances our way. The tension began to wrap around him like a too-tight suit. "Hey, you all right?" Kevin called over with forced cheer. Rick's response was a stiff nod, but the sweat shimmering on his brow told a different story. Clearly, our chatter was getting to him. Unable to shake the nagging feeling, I marked a few unopened buckets with discrete dots using a marker. If I needed to check them later, I wanted it done quietly. Rick noticed but said nothing, though his gaze lingered longer than I liked. A state trooper pulled up, lights flashing like warning signals. Rick immediately began pacing, his face tense. It was clear the officer's presence rattled him more than the crash itself. The trooper stepped out and began asking questions, particularly about the truck's contents. "Anyone know what's inside these buckets?" he asked with authority. Rick stepped in quickly, mumbling something about cleaning supplies. The unease in his voice was impossible to miss. Rick's explanation was clumsy at best. Just some industrial cleaners. But it didn't add up. The trooper jotted notes, unconvinced. We exchanged glances. It was obvious to all of us that Rick was hiding something. I stepped back and watched Rick carefully. Every twitch, every movement screamed guilt. Sam returned with an update. "The supervisor doesn't seem too bothered," he said, clearly frustrated. "He was told it was likely just a labeling error. That didn't sit right with any of us." Lisa caught my eye and gave a slight nod. Despite what the supervisor thought, she knew this wasn't over. She came closer and spoke softly but firmly. "Jake, you gotta go with your gut on this one." Her confidence sparked a renewed determination in me. I couldn't walk away without knowing what was in those buckets. What was my next move? I needed to plan this out, and I needed to do it carefully. Heck, even just a 5-minute breather was enough to clear my head and figure out my next steps. I fished out my phone and called my brother, a local cop. "Hey, is this a bad time?" I asked. "Nah, shoot," he replied. I explained everything in a low voice. The buckets, Rick's strange behavior. Something felt off, and I hoped he'd offer advice or pull some strings. "Keep it low-key, Jake. Gather info quietly," he said, "and don't play hero." His words were sound, even if tough to follow. When I returned, more officers had arrived. The site buzzed with radios and tension. Sam and I exchanged a glance. This had just escalated. Lisa joined us, face tight with concern. "We need to find out what's in those buckets," she whispered. Sam agreed. We had to act fast, but discreetly. Kevin approached, lowering his voice. "Maybe we check a few buckets while no one's looking." We waited for Rick to get distracted by the officers. Lisa kept watch while Kevin and I eased open a few buckets, our movements silent and precise. To our surprise, the buckets held nothing but cleaning supplies. "What the heck?" Kevin muttered. Lisa looked confused. It made no sense. We regrouped, frustration mounting. "This doesn't add up," Lisa said. I nodded. We weren't any closer to the truth, but we couldn't walk away. Not now. Then Sam found a manifest under some debris. "Jake, look at this," he said. The delivery schedule didn't match Rick's claims. Suddenly, pieces of the puzzle started falling into place. I couldn't sit back any longer. While officers kept Rick occupied, I crept toward the buckets again. Sam caught up. There I was, staring at the line of buckets like they were treasure chests. I popped the lid on another one, my heart in my throat. Inside were syringes packed tightly, some full with odd labels. "Whoa, guys, get over here!" I called, motioning to Sam and Lisa. They rushed over, eyes widening at the sight. "No way!" Sam muttered. Lisa pulled out her phone, snapping photos. The shock was mutual. This wasn't just cleaning supplies anymore. We'd crossed into something much darker. Even the officers stopped to stare. "What the heck are these doing here?" Kevin said quietly. An uneasy silence settled as we all processed the gravity of the discovery. The officers acted quickly, cordoning off the area. The site shifted from a cleanup zone to a potential crime scene. One officer approached me, notebook in hand. "Mind explaining what led you to that bucket?" he asked. I explained the signs, Rick's behavior, the odd smells, the labels. "It wasn't what any of us expected," I said. He nodded, scribbling notes, as if this was only the beginning. More officials arrived, turning the site into a hub of investigation. Rick, meanwhile, was unraveling. He paced erratically, his calm gone. Just then, an officer pulled me aside. "Good call trusting your gut, Jake," he said. His words meant a lot. It felt like we weren't just bystanders anymore. We were part of the response. Kevin came running, pale and breathless. He'd overheard Rick on the phone. "The rehab clinics need shipment now." The words were like a punch to the gut. Kevin shared what he heard, and it hit us all at once. This was no accident. "This is way bigger than we thought," I muttered. Lisa's voice grounded us. "We need to stick together," she said firmly. We all nodded. Whatever this was, we were in it as a team, together and ready for what came next. As the discovery unfolded, we realized just how deep this rabbit hole went. It was a heavy burden knowing what we did, but having each other's backs made it bearable. Together, we braced for whatever truth lay hidden, trusting instinct to guide us. As more evidence was packed away, a knot of anxiety twisted in my gut. What if we'd stepped into something far more dangerous than we understood? Sam voiced it first. Sam soon uncovered documents with suspicious addresses linked to clinics. "These don't look legit," he said, frowning. Whatever we'd found wasn't just a random mess. It had structure, intent, and likely a criminal operation behind it. Meanwhile, Rick's interrogation grew more intense. His answers twisted and shifted, each inconsistency adding to the growing suspicion. Standing amid the chaos, it struck me. We were caught in something far beyond a routine cleanup. "Feels like we stumbled into a whole other world," I muttered. And it kept getting bigger. Sirens wailed in the distance. Officers raided Rick's home and began digging into his finances. "You think they'll find something?" Sam asked. "They already are," I replied, watching as more layers of the case unraveled. Lisa updated us constantly. Calls, messages, briefings. Our role had grown beyond bystanders. We were witnesses in something massive, each new detail further confirming our place in the story. Then it happened. Rick cracked. "I was smuggling drugs," he admitted. "I needed the cash." The weight of his confession froze the air around us. Suspicions had become facts. As the investigation spread, more ties surfaced. "There's more than just Rick," Kevin observed. "Looks like we pulled the right thread." Our actions had exposed something sprawling and corrupt. A strange mix of relief and disbelief surged through me. "We really uncovered something big," Kevin said. "Yeah," I replied, "bigger than we ever imagined." Our persistence had paid off. Rick's plan, now laid bare, was reckless and dangerous. "He was pushing drugs rejected for human use," Lisa noted. Sam shook his head. "All for money." We all stood silently, processing the real consequences. Officers approached us with gratitude. "You folks helped blow this open," one said. We shared a glance, quiet pride passing among us. Lisa grinned. "Never thought road work would lead to this." Looking back, it was surreal to think how we dismissed this as a minor accident. "Remember when we thought it was just cleaning supplies?" Lisa laughed. "Seems naive now," I said, smiling despite the weight of it all. What we uncovered reminded us how deception hides in plain sight. It showed that even small actions, marking a bucket, asking questions, can reveal enormous truths. With Rick in handcuffs, a sense of justice settled in. But a new awareness lingered too. "Think we'll see something like this again?" Sam asked. "Let's hope not," I answered. We'd gone from cleanup crew to witnesses in a major criminal case, and now more than ever we knew what it meant to stay alert, on the road and beyond.